Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser.
I'm Johnny B.
I'm Brush and Quill.
I'm Hengist.
But together we are
Morning.
Woohoo!
Boom. All right, see who we got here. Harry said can't be with you, but nice to see him with Josh. I love the fact that people feel obliged. You know, they come before the show.
Just to let you know.
Sorry, can't be here. Rose is here, obviously. She was singing a little bit before the show. Alid got Rosie's dice bag. He made her. She made him proper Welsh one, dragons and everything. Who else?
So an improper Welsh one.
An improper Welsh one. Was that one with willies on it? Rich John is here. Mark. Which Mark, though? Any Mark? Hello, Mark. Tony Halton is
Hello,
here.
human meat bags.
Is that an HK quote? That's what I want to know.
Why rusty cannons don't win wars, a lesson from the Paris Commune. That's probably true, yeah. Saffron69, good evening, sir. Who else we got? Rusty Cannons was a great blue guitarist. It's a good name, friends of General Haig. Mate, you didn't get in touch. Can we not get you on the show? We'd love to have you on the show. Miller's Miniatures. Nice. Loving the sweet logo, by the way, Miller. Mike Woolnut is here. And sorry, I can't be with you from Subcommandante 70. He seems to be here now, mate. I've got to go. Right, that's the people that are here. Nice to meet you all and see you all. What hobby are we doing tonight? I am going to build Crusader AAA, not double A, AAA, mate. For Johnny B's bolt action. No, Flames of War Army. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Awesome. Does that mean you're going to get some planes then? Interesting. New developments to my army that I do not know about. I'm going to try and put a bit more colour on these them Roman dudes.
You got a fan, John?
3 and a bit. Woo! I'm guessing that's Andy from work. Yes, it is. We're a bit light on work, so he's joined us today, and he's got the
his
job.
Night shift?
Yeah, he's on until
he's at work.
He's at work. He's on until 11, so you know he's sticking plastic to things.
He stuck his finger to the E button by the looks of things.
Yeah, with state-of-the-art facility, mate. So it's actually most probably just a sticky keyboard. Callum, what are you up to this evening?
I've been shanghaied, and I'm painting the best red coats of them all.
The best red coats of them all? Are they the ones with green coats?
No, that would be Her Majesty's Royal Marines.
I recognise the hat.
Ooh, all the same to me. And our most honourable guest, sir, have you got anything on the table in front of you all tonight?
It's paperwork, I'm afraid.
Okay.
But I'm actually looking about sort of, planning, which is things like these and what you can really do with them. If you can see all of that. So, yeah, I've got. I'm trying to build some scratch-built buildings and things like that, and I've got to think about what I actually want to do with it, rather than just sort of get out the PVA glue and just throw it all over the place. What I do in my own private time, well, that's, I suppose, up to me.
What type of building?
I'm sure we're going to find out shortly. Before we get into it, Hengist, before you blow your load, as it were, can you tell us, sir, who you are and what you do on that there YouTube thing?
Well, I'm Hengist. I gave some clues away in the last episode that you had me on. I'm glad I'm back, actually, and wasn't banned. But in truth, yeah, I'm still doing the same sort of stuff, except I've got a number of projects coming up. And those include sort of basically, I'm starting to write this military wargaming handbook. And also, I'm going to be a big focus on Ostfront, which is coming up on the Russian front. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. In terms of where we're at, we can be found at Military Wargaming on Facebook, House of Hengist Comics on YouTube.
Awesome. This is
That
good.
was very distinct, wasn't it?
Very nice.
This is
Very
good.
nice.
Right. Sorry, Callum. I just wanted to get that out of the way. So
No.
can you indulge us as to what those or whatever Callum was asking, because I've completely forgotten. That was a whole minute ago.
Well, for me, in terms of what those projects are, well, okay, first of all, the Military Wargaming Handbook is really a quest. I've gone down a rabbit hole, and it seems to be getting a bigger rabbit hole as we go, and there's lots of warrens down there. But I'm looking at trying to bridge the gap between, I suppose, amateur wargaming and professional wargaming, and also exploring a lot of aspects in that, including role-playing. And I mentioned this to Kaiser before. I'm very interested in what Gary Gygax did. You know, he was a war gamer. He set up in the 1970s Gen Con. That started with 20 blokes in effectively his basement. You know, in 71 he did that. He in the 60s he's very interested in aspects of war gaming, and he's very inspired by a lot of fantasy, of course, and books like Lovecraft and stuff. But a lot of the precepts that he comes up with through Dungeons and Dragons are very similar to what wargaming does, you know. So maybe we'll look at that in another episode, but it's very similar in many aspects. You know, it's got umpires, it's got decision making, it's got freedom of movement, it's got loads of stuff. So I'm currently looking at all these issues. I'm going to produce this book, hopefully, which will have lots of new ideas and concepts in, and are variant on the rules. But, you know, like many systems, we're not going to claim we're prescriptive in that you've got to play this way. We're more likely coming up with the concepts and designs that go with that, you know, including a lot of stuff, including psychology, immersives, atmospherics, stuff like that within your war games. And a lot of, I'll leave this hanging, consider role-playing and what it does and what you could actually add from role-playing into your war gaming. I think that's quite interesting. So
now you say role-playing. You say role-playing, but I'm quite convinced that's quite a few different types of things. You've got role-playing, as in you take on a role and you discuss and talk and do your thing. And then you've got dice rolling role-play, which is based on rolling that their D20 to see if you're competent at speaking sentences, which I roll a natural one quite often.
In real life.
In real life, regard speaking sentences. So I'm guessing is it going to be proper role play, like you're going to sit there and discuss the decisions that can be made, and then an arbiter will say, do you know what, yeah, that makes sense? Or will you have skill rolls? I think
it's a bit of both. You know, if you're using the dice to determine your success in what you choose to do, that's okay. You know, that's an outcome moderator, isn't it? It gives you an outcome. But I think I prefer, in a sense, actually seeing what the individual is capable of and allowing the umpire to make that decision. You still need rules, of course you need rules, but you also need rules that are flexible. And a lot of, obviously, games have very strict rules, and they're designed to be played using those rules. If you want really creative, out-the-box thinking and a mechanism really to improve yourself in your tactical thinking, you need flexibility. You really, really do. And systems need to be able to do that. So I think there are big differences between that and games, but it's a big hole you can go down on that subject.
True.
I was just going to ask, surely that depends, though, at what level you as a person are fulfilling in the gaming. So, for instance, you know, depending which period of time you're in and depending what level you are in the rank structure at that point, then that would give you greater or lesser freedoms, surely, to do more things with your own initiative. Yes,
of course it does. But to give you an example, if we're looking at a doctrinal or tactical situation, you know, the players will be encouraged to read about the commanders that they're taking on, getting inside their head, consider, you know, the responses. They'll then look at, say, Soviet operational methodology. Okay, so again, I don't want to sort of go too deep into what we're doing, but let me try and explain this. Normally at the end of a D&D session or something, you are scored. You are assessed by experience. That's a very important facet. It's not done in a game. Game, you get an outcome, victory points or whatever. But in terms of next steps as well, within Dungeons and Dragons or any role-playing system, that is far more akin to, I think, wargaming. And, you know, the difference between a game of war and a war game per se is that a war game sets particular testing situations, a hypothesis. It then goes out to test that and it analyzes it. A game, on the other hand, may just be a set of rules which just gives you a result. Role-playing, and I don't know, and I could be completely wrong on this, so let anyone, you know, speak freely on this, and they know more about xxxxxxxxxx than I do. Whether he was inspired by wargaming or he inspired wargaming is the issue here. You know, it's not important, but he uses precepts which are very, very similar in some aspects of wargaming. And that's what I find is interesting in this little rabbit hole I'm going down. And it makes me think more about concepts that I'm trying to develop, I suppose.
Cool.
But, yeah,
I think
that's it. It's highbrow, really, I suppose.
You touched upon mechanics around role playing earlier. So to give you an example of where I feel role playing really falls apart, and rolling dice. If John and I were to go out on the street now and run to the bus stop, he'd beat me every time. There's no dice rolling involved. He's younger than I am. He's fitter than I am. It doesn't matter. I could roll a nat 20. I'm still never, ever going to beat him unless something outrageous happens. And that's a problem for me in terms of the credibility. I find in a lot of role-playing systems, because they're very much, there's mechanics and they're driven by the mechanics. At some point, what you try to do devolves to a test. Like, okay, I drive my car into town every day without crashing it. I've done that thousands of times. There's no dice roll here. If I try and climb that wall, I can or I can't. There's no dice roll involved here.
But the roll. Sorry, I was going to say the rolling with the thing I think that gets missed out of role playing games sometimes. Whether you got a good DM or a bad DM, sometimes it's just because it's been going on for a while and you're tired or whatever, is the explanation as to what that dice roll means. So that time you're racing Johnny B down the road, the reason you won on that nat 20 is because Johnny B tripped over, or because
I rolled the 20, he didn't roll a 1.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
what
that
can I do more?
There would be theoretically there is a storytelling element to why that outcome was, and that gets skipped, I think, for the aid of the fact of you're not spending 6 hours explaining every single dice roll.
But I think in any, I do see what you're saying.
I can
but
see that
in a role playing system, John would have a run skill of 4, and I've got a run skill of -2. I'm not only going to win 1 in 20 times when he trips over. I'm going to win about a quarter of the time. And I'm just never, ever going to beat him unless something happens.
Yeah.
And 1 in 20 just feels far too common. I don't have a problem with it in terms of high intensity combat situation. What's the chance that I overexpose myself on a lunge or something like that? Absolutely. 1 in 20 times in a combat situation, I can accept that. But in a non-combat situation, for a lot of those skills, that what's the surgery skill of your surgeon? I don't know, 60, 70%. What, 30% of the time he fails to heal somebody? This guy's a fucking disaster. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's these mechanisms need to sit totally outside of any kind of dice roll.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in what he's developed, what xxxxxxxxx and role playing became. Is a little bit different to what I'm trying to couch here and trying to explain. We don't have the players having statistics and characteristics. What we want them to do is immerse themselves based on the reading. If we're doing a doctrinal assessment, sometimes it's not doctrinal, so there won't be so much role play at all. You know, because you're just playing someone in the perceived role as, say, at an operations level. So you've got tactical, let's say that on the table, operations, the one that's planning, and strategic, the one that's in command, who's sending the directives down. So you've got three simple chains there: strategic, operational to tactical, tactical back up to operational, up to strategic. So in some situations, you are not really role-playing a particular character or doctrine. But if we're looking through the lens of history, we need to have, that's when that sort of element comes in. So they don't have traits and they're not percentage rolled by an umpire. The umpire is looking at whether or not that was a sort of doctrinal decision. If it was, tick the box. If it was outside of the box, it might come into innovation. So we look. But if you're trying to explore, say, the Russian front with the ethos that the characters are, or the commanders aren't really playing to that sort of way of thinking, I think you can lose it a little. And we want to try, especially on some of these up and coming games on the Russian front, to try and explore just what the hell was really going on and how difficult it was. Because there is doctrine involved as well. So in terms of the concepts that Guy Getz has developed, I think they're brilliant. But how it's become personified as a replication that you have statistics that govern you as an individual in how you act. My language is 60%, as you said. My surgery is 70%. We don't go down that sort of route per se, if that makes sense.
I'll keep my appendix if there's a 30% failure chance. Thank you. I do need to go back to the comments. So because things are coming up, we're going to go on to Hengist pictures in a minute and talk about scratch building. Stefan 69 says, how's the kill team going? Right. So a little story here. After work, so John finishes work and gets home like 8:30. He'll turn up here. We have something to eat because it's come straight from work. And by the time we sit down and play a game, it's nearly 10 o'clock, increasingly. And at that time of night, the brain is just frazzled for learning new things. This week, however, is half term. So Gary, who you've seen very rarely in the very early days of the show, he's on long-term sick. So he's got a bit of time on his hands. So we went to Sunday Models yesterday and just to play Kill Team, 3 hours. Let's just check every rule, and I'm doing it again with him on Friday. So hopefully by the end of this week, because it's so different again, it's got no relationship to any of the other Warhammer rules that we played, and I love it for that. Yeah. But you can't sort of go straight to camera with it. We've got to input the time in. So Kill Team is definitely coming, and for the 40k fans, if you look over there, we're also John and I. Our next game is going to be 40k. I'm going to play Firstborn's Primaris Space Wolves. So I'll do Firstborn next time after that. And John has decided, because he's only got his Ultramarines as a full army, he's going to play my Death Guard. But because John's playing them, there won't be Death Guard. There'll be Derp Guard.
Derp Guard, mate.
Derp Guard. That's what they're going to be. And we're hopefully going to do that either at the weekend or next week. Subcommandante says, cravat, well played, sir. Definitely. That is a beautiful cravat you've got there.
Thank you very much.
It's providing you with a certain coverage on wrinkly bits. Is that right, sir?
Well, yes, it is. I think they've got many uses. We were saying about this earlier backstage about shirts in archaeology and things like that. I like a cravat. It's very casual. But I also wanted to, obviously, like you always generally, and I'm not having a go here, Michael. Why aren't you wearing a tie? But what I'm trying to say is, in terms of it's that version between the tie, wasn't it? The formal.
Absolutely. Really, I don't wear a tie when I'm modelling. is the truth of that. Yeah. So I don't have a cravat actually. I did have a cravat when I was at university. The great Doctor John Pertwee died. And the day he died, I dressed up in tribute to John Pertwee and went to a nightclub in Morecambe where a beautiful young woman danced with me briefly, bought me a drink and asked me if she could borrow my cravat because she thought it was cool. After she got my cravat, she disappeared. So, sucker to me. So I thought cravats were cursed and never bought another one. There's my cravat story. Gamers with Coffee is here. Hello. Mark, there's something on the wing. What's that in relation to? Which is bigger, AA or AAA? I always buy the wrong batteries. For anyone that doesn't know, AAA is anti-aircraft artillery. Presumably, it's a more modern designation to distinguish it from anti-aircraft missiles.
Not
JJ
battery size.
Abrams
Okay, good.
lens flare from Russian Quill. Oh, mate, you got a new Star Trek going on there. All hail the mighty Gygax. Yep. So much stems from the writings of Gary Gygax. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about chainmail and stuff, but we're going to talk about scratch building tonight. That's what we're going to do. We will have Hengist back if nobody hates on him. Andy Biscuits.
They do all the time,
there's
Bobby.
he role play. Oh, the role play Johnny B and I do. Right.
Then there's the role play. Yeah.
That's when you go dogging.
Yeah, good pals.
Yeah, exactly. Andy Biscuits. Does Andy know Rosie?
Not really, no.
It did produce an English Civil War rules called Cavaliers and Roundheads.
Original name.
I did not. Well, back then, it probably wasn't another system, right? I know there was WRG stuff, I'm sure. But yeah, never heard of that one. Guy Debord created a game of war to explore command and control, especially in communication. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting command and control at the moment, isn't there? Kaiser, a good DM will only call for a role when needed. You say that. I've rarely been in a game where I haven't been told there's a loud crash, make a listen roll, and I just like, what are you going to do if we all fail? If this is going to drive the story forwards? But it's okay because 8 people just made a test that they have a 70% chance of passing. It's meaningless and it's annoying. His shoes fall off your chips. He runs out in front of a bus.
Yeah, this is
that's why you win the race.
You winning.
Right,
that's how you win the race.
Yeah, that's why I need you guys. You see, random chance, fog of war. Yeah. John only runs for sausages. That's probably
true fact.
True.
True fact.
Yeah, that and doofers. Does run for doofus, that's true. Charles the Light Brigade, was it a bad role on writing the order or bad role play interpreting the order? I'm pretty sure that I'm in the camp that thinks that was deliberately misrepresented.
Well, there's you were talking about psychology earlier, Hengist, and there's a brilliant book called The Psychology of Defeat, where they actually discuss that express incident.
Right.
So it looks at the British Army and things. So one of the things it looks at is lines led by donkeys and how that's a myth, and Charge of the Light Brigade and all these sorts of things, and explores things, like where it all went wrong.
There's a couple of things, and if I can just quickly butt in there, and it's good to see Johnny with his head down working so hard.
Mate, that's all I can do. I've got nothing else to bring.
But the important point here is there are a couple of things that I'm exploring. The first is I want more immersion on my channel. So I'm going to be doing a lot of tactical situations. What do you do next? And we're going to try and encourage that. And also, I want to just quickly stop and apologize for the lag on my computer. If you've got that and the sound and all of that, I've been locked out of this once or twice. I just generally thought it was haters, but the truth of the matter is I've got internet problems down here. Got a lot of problems at the moment. So apologies.
It's all the porn you've downloaded, mate. It's gunked up the machine.
Christ, are they still open on the? Oh, I see. I'll just log those off.
Right, we are like halfway into the show and we haven't even started with the main feature. So I'm going to move over to let's get these ready. Somaliland. We're going to talk a bit about scratch builds because you've done some beautiful scratch build work for that. I know you're going to do more for your other stuff, and then Callum's got some scratch builds to share as well. And I'm worried we're going to run out of time. So here we go. Talk us. What are we looking at here?
Okay, I'm going to try and be really quick and to the point. So
introduce the theatre, what you're doing, and then we'll talk about the individual pictures, yeah?
I can't, I'm waiting for the screen to unwhirl at the moment.
Delayed.
I can't see an image at the moment.
I'll describe it to you. There's some buildings, there's a single tree, and there's a bunch of trucks, and it says port. That way.
Johnny, don't get a job in the audio description on the TV, mate.
Basically, what we were.
Oh.
No, this is very interesting. Okay, yeah. So, what do I remember by what I've just seen? And I'll actually link this to some games that we've done regarding reconnaissance. But actually, you've buildings and a truck there, and this we've done a huge campaign over 5 days. We've been fighting this battle at Tug Aren't Gone. We had 2 retired colonels playing the senior roles, the strategic level, and we had other players playing the operational battalion commanders, and a few players doing the actual.
Oh.
Boo! Basically, he had some dudes right up here. He had some middle dudes, and then he had some little dudes that were pushing the dudes around. That's what he's saying. And it went really, really well. And it was in the desert and stuff. And
I'm still just going to go with the old.
And things happened.
Oh,
is he back? Nope.
He's gone.
He's
back. He's gone. Anyways, look at that.
I'm really hoping it's the buildings that are scratch built, because otherwise those vehicles are just disgustingly good.
Those vehicles surely are not scratch built. We'll say the buildings.
No, they are not. Can you hear me?
We'll definitely go with the board.
Oh.
Yes. Oh no!
Oh, boo!
Does he want to join in on the comments?
Right, I'm going to switch up, and we're going to do Callum's.
Bring Callum's.
We'll do Callum's, and then we'll go back to his.
Oh,
Callum.
no, I have
we're gonna,
problem.
No.
What? He's all right. He's taking the mic. Come on then. What have we got then, Callum?
Oh, you made a joke.
He made a funny.
Right, let me zoom this one in. What are we looking at here, Callum?
That is one half of the board I built for Drop Zone Commander.
Look at that.
This is the one that was just like pen lines and then scribbles and then different pen lines.
We saw this
is
at
that
an
one.
earlier stage. Right?
Yes.
Much earlier stage.
I've changed the way I present stuff now, because this was one of the ones where I went, I'm doing this thing, and everyone's, oh, I look forward to it, and then I went, it's done. But yeah, no. So this is built inside one half of a wallpaper pasting table, that you use to put your thing on, and then
on the underside.
Yes, yeah. So flipped, so it's a little hollow tray.
Oh, that's clever, that, yeah.
And then insulation foam that you put up in your loft and whatever, and then flock, and the roads are made out of self-adhesive floor tiles. So,
all the road.
Yeah, the roads, yeah.
Which is giving you that flat finish. Hengist, Can you hear us okay? Are you seeing things in
Yes, I can. That's much better, actually.
It is.
I think I had some of those live Jasmine ladies probably on. Why they keep contacting me, I don't know. Although some of them are very keen at war gaming, if you know what I mean.
We're going to look at Callum's pictures. So this is it with the bits, and now you can see it is a wallpaper table.
Yeah, so that's the bit you just saw is on the right there, and then the left hand side is built there as well. It's still not 100% finished. I'm not sure if you can see sort of the brown bit on the left hand side next to the white bit.
Top left,
yeah. That's still got
good,
some railway tracks to be laid on it to make a shunting yard.
Really good. I call this 3D modeling, and it's brilliant for immersion. I mean, when you get really good detailed sets like this, not only does it prove a challenge for lines of sight, but when you get down to the eye level, you begin to start seeing about significant buildings and why they're being constantly attacked or not, especially for OPs and things like that. I mean, it's really good stuff. Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Callum puts an awful lot of detail in. I remember when I met you, Callum.
Sorry, go on, Johnny.
I was just going to say the amount of detail you put into this scale of building is ridiculous. Like, you had one of the ruins and it was blown up, and you had like art on the walls on the inside and little sofas and stuff. It was insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really job.
So this is the second picture. I think I sent you another one of a HGV trailer that I turned into a little encampment for the Fallout game.
I'm trying to see if I can see it. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So it's the back of a HGV lorry, which I've sort of built bits on to make little huts, and there under sort of just above where the back wheels are, there's posters that I've printed out and put on the wall.
That's a nice touch.
Nice.
It's actually got working lights on it as well. So on the other side of it, there's the cab to the lorry, and I've put the battery pack in there, so you can turn the lights on. So it's got strings of LEDs that light the whole thing up.
Did you do another Fallout piece with LED lighting in it?
No, that was this bit. That was this bit. Yeah. So that was a practice run to do a house, which I'm going to put some lighting in as well.
Right.
So what's this?
This is more of a kit bash than a scratch build, but this is a custom captain for a Space Marine chapter.
Has
So
he
for my own
got a
Space Marine
curved
chapter.
like Egyptian blade here?
Yep.
He certainly has.
Yeah, that's a Kopesh.
Sweet.
So
That's what
he,
they're called, yeah.
yeah, he's got a power Kopesh, and the thing in front of him is a power hammer. So he's actually part of a piece I've got with the commander from each of the 3 Space Marine chapters I did. And this was my custom chapter. So I built him to be a custom with various different bits I collected over the years. So he's got like a Tartarus Terminator legs. The chest piece is actually a Necron. One of the arms comes from the Forge World Abaddon the the shoulder pad holding the hammer is from Abaddon the Despoiler, the Forge World one, where he's fighting Thingamabob. So yeah, all sorts of different bits.
Nice.
That's all the bits.
And what's this then?
So this is my dreadnought from my drop fleet commander fleet.
Right. And is the scratch built then?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, here's the core body of it is actually a P-51 Mustang. Kit.
Where?
Yeah,
Is that this end?
yeah, so all the way through. Turned upside down. So the bit in the I keep trying to point, but the bit sort of like
yeah.
the bit up and to the left of the black stem is actually the air intake on the bottom of the P-51.
Right. Yes, I can see that now.
Yeah. So that's turned upside down, and then there's bits on there from like Tau. There's bits on there from Drop Zone kits. There's bits on there from Adeptus Mechanicus. All just sort of thrown on there to build like gun batteries and landing pads and all sorts of things.
I would never believe that.
I mean, the thing is about this long. It's huge.
Yeah, I was about to say
that's amazing piece of work, that Callum. Yeah, I like it.
That's
All right. I have to zoom out to go back.
There you
So there you go.
that's what I saw. It looks completely different from this side.
You'll notice on the right hand side there you got the Kazi.
Yeah, I do like myself a lit up potty. So you can read.
I'm not sure if you can sort of, but if you just to the left of the second lighting from the right,
Right.
But so between that light and the ladder, there's on the wall. There's actually I printed off one of the paintings that's in the Fallout computer game. I actually printed it out and scaled it down to put in there.
That's
I built a little picture frame.
Yeah, and I made a little picture frame
And this is in 10 mil.
No, that's
No.
28, 32 mil.
28. I was going to say, whoa.
No, I'm not that crazy.
So is this Kazi in production?
No, that's a different Kazi.
It's a different Kazi. And washing line.
Yeah, this was for my Napoleonic stuff. So there's a washing line, a fence, and an outhouse.
Very nice.
And they're all scratch built. So I think that's it.
Right.
Did I send you? Oh, this is the last one. I think this is mostly scratch built. Obviously, things like the wheels and stuff aren't.
So is
Warhammer
that a Lehman Russ
40,000.
or a Chimera Hill hull or something?
That's a Lehman Russ.
Yeah, Lehman Russ hull. This is actually from an old
Old
Warhammer guide on how to build an armored car for 40k.
Oh, like a White Dwarf thing?
Yeah. Back when White Dwarf told you how to make your own models. You know?
Yeah, and it was like a hobby resource. Oh, he's a secret lemonade drinker. Our bites.
Dear me,
Wow.
I wonder how many people didn't get that.
Many.
Yeah, so this was for my Arbites army, which I did, where everything
Very
was
nice.
kit bashed or scratch built.
I like the fact that the door's slightly on the shunk as well. So we better put a door in there. Somebody get a cutter.
Just got the welder out.
Yeah. And then
I didn't realise I sent so many. This was this is 10 mil again. This was my fortress for my resistance.
did you see that on the far left of the original board?
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's built on a jewelry box from the works. So I tore out all the little compartments from the middle, and then lined the outside with bits of cardboard and wood and all sorts of bits to build this.
And this is 10 mil, right?
Yeah.
This is tiny.
And this was all. Each bit was glued on individually, and then just added some bits to make it. Oh wow! This is a blast from the past. I forgot about This was for a competition in a Games Workshop, and it was you had to on one of they just brought out their tile system for modular movement
Realm
trays.
of Battle.
Yeah.
The old movement trays. Yeah.
And you had to do a scene on one of them. This was the size limit, and I did a forward casualty clearing station for the Imperial Guard. So you've got on the left there your basic guardsman being treated, and on the right there that's a commissar being treated in the private, you know.
He gets his own little personal medical bit. I'll tell you what,
and it's cleaner and it's better, and you know.
I'll tell you what, that Questling Knight is in a lot of trouble.
I've got to say, I'm looking at these. I don't think they're going to make it, man. I don't think they're going to make it.
And then, down the bottom left hand there was a half a rhino. I cut a rhino in half, and painted it up as if it was a emergency evacuation one.
Nice,
right? Nice,
epic.
All right, mate. Well, that's Callum's bit. Right, Hengist, have you been stable this whole time? Are we going to be able to do it?
As soon as he talks,
still on a lag, but we'll do our best we can.
Let's do it.
Roll the tape, old bean.
We're catching up first. Quick catch up.
The comments, and so Miller's Miniatures is hoping you'll give him a game of Drop Zone. Yeah, great thing about playing Callum at Drop Zone because he played me is he knows what he's doing. So just roll that. You need a 4. Oh, great, buddy. Yeah. He does actually know the game. Wickedly good work on that ship, Callum. Well done. Yeah, it's amazing, that one.
It's JVC. JVC actually inspired me to do all the building bits. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's done a beautiful Berlin house.
Mini Warm, and he does quite a bit of trash terrain stuff himself. And I think he's a Mini Warm is a modeler who's become a wargamer. You know, he used to like racing cars and stuff, and now he's into the Warhammer. Doing Project Z at the moment, I think, aren't you, Mini Warmer? First edition 40k encouraged scratch, but it certainly did. Those were the days. RBTs. And Mark says Jasmine has come back. She wants you, Mark.
I say. Yeah, Jasmine. I'm not on that pay-per-view either. I hasten to add.
Let me see if I can get this.
Do you have to keep putting the coins in?
Yeah.
Put all the coins in.
Boom. Right.
Let me try. I think I've got real problems tonight. I've got a real dysfunction. And those blue pills don't help. Now, the fort, basically, the buildings are not preset, but the walling is. And I'm just going to quickly talk about the sort of ingredients I use a lot. First of all, I don't know whether you can see that plastic card. Don't use cardboard, use plastic because it warps and it goes to Hades, especially when you're using PVA. Second thing is you need, I don't know if you can see this, good old PVA, cheap as chips, Poundland, all of that, good to go. Then I tend to use a combination of this product, which is wood filler. Okay, and I get this from Wilco's, which is really cheap, £3 or something, and I use that for all basing. inside this tin here is just general fine sand. Not that I can possibly say that I get it off the Ramsgate beaches, because that's illegal apparently, as I've been told, but really fine sand, okay? The next thing is, beg, borrow or steal these. These are like tea stirrers. You can get them on the internet. I think that's £1. Plenty of stuff. Then you've got your good old kebab sticks. Very useful if you're in a tight location and you need to cook, but extremely good if you're wargaming. Great for fencing and all of that. So let's get rid of that. Again, more stirrers. Again, I get these off of eBay out of China. Couple of quid for hundreds. So I can use that to build fencing, walls and stuff. And finally, matchsticks. So those are the sort of ingredients that I use: PVA, wood filler. And so I'm building a lot of stuff using that. I'll make.
Can I introduce you to a material, sir?
Sorry?
Can I introduce you to a material, sir?
Yes, of course, by all means.
Graphics medium chipboard.
Oh yes.
Where can you
Now
get
we're
this?
talking.
Off of the internet, I got 25 sheets here for less than a tenner. It's like ultra dense cardboard, and it is good friend.
The business, yeah. Yeah,
I wasn't sure if you're aware.
No, but one of my problems was I had an outdoor shed. That's where it all started. And of course it got damp, and a number of baseboards. Because when I build a building, you can see those buildings are sitting on something which is different from the sand. These are what I call baseboards. Now, when you're building a set, you have a BUA, built up area, or you're trying to define an area which is urban. So you need lots of walls, lots of stone, things like that. And this sort of stuff is really good. You know, you get your PVA, cover it in PVA, sprinkle the sand on it, dry it, mass spray it, wash it, dry brush, job, bang, done. That's a baseboard. And you can then define that built up area, and it just makes it quite easy to work with. And again, as I keep saying about immersive wargaming, like your tables earlier, the more you're drawn into it, forget all this tabulated rule systems. You want to be on the table, making decisions, being examined on those decisions. Coming back to the role playing, forget the dice. And Frank, I'd rather just see a decision and umpire call, yay or nay. That's it. You know, that's the barest form of wargaming you could do. So that's just, and notice there, the Berber port sign. Using signs is really good. Again, an old trick, basically, to get that person immersively, I'm going to a port. It's a psychological aspect to draw them in. We're going into a port. So that's that.
I like that. I like that. I had not considered that, but an appropriate sign turns what you've got into this particular place. Yeah, like that a lot.
It's clever. I've found that signs are really good. I recently did one of Joseph Stalin and the communist thing. As soon as you see that, you know you're in Russia. Now, again, a lot of this stuff here, you've got battlefront sort of coal piles, but I'll dig around and find trucks and anything. I'll get old military trucks and paint them different colours to make them look civilian. So at this point, we've got the British Army, which has broken through like 4 battalions of circumvallation and is running pell-mell for basically the port. The port has been preset to blow. The British brigadier who was commanding this operation had this sorted out 2 days ago. And he's effectively got his baggage packed. He knows he's surrounded. He's planned to get these troops out. It's quite brilliant, actually. And he's extracted them. And the Scots, the Black Watch, basically drove through with the Indians, the Punjabs, bust through down this road. Masses of fighting. It took us 9 hours of actual play to do this battle. And they get to the port. They get to the port. There's a lovely scene in that port when the players around the table said, "Who's in command?" And one of them said, "You, sir. You know, headquarters is down." And he went, "Blow it." And so they have effectively disembarked and they blow the port. In fact, the Scots are a tad enthusiastic and blow off the port to Kingdom Come. But that's good old Scottish engineering at its best. But using more detail as you do, the more you get, the more immersive the players become. They start looking at things and think, what the fuck can I, excuse my French, can I do with that? And they start thinking about what they can do. And we call this tasking. Like, you know, I'm going to blow these water towers, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And teams just get on with it. That's where you've got your role. So the decisions are being made, and there's an execution order, a role, a skill test, or whatever you want to call it. You either make it or you don't. And when it's guaranteed, what we call anything but a 1, and it's a fumble. If there's a fumble, like you try and set fire to a building, you'd actually set fire to yourselves or whatever, and you might have to make saves. So there's always a risk and reward in the system we do. A lot of these buildings, again, are purchased, but the oil drums are not. A lot of the kit that I make, the little boats and stuff like that, those are all handmade out of wood, bits of plastic. I scavenge everything and reuse everything. I don't throw away. And that's one of the big advantages to scratch building. Now, like any scratch builder, and I'm sure all of us have done this, the first couple of attempts will be crap. But as you get better, you will improve. Then you start learning from other people, like Brush and Quill. Like, it's learned from loads of people. I've learned from loads of people. And you know, do it. Now, this is the opening set of the breakout. Again, this is a minimal set. This is representing desert conditions. Ideal stuff for your set is clump foliage. Buy a bucket. If you spend 20 quid on anything, buy loads of clump. It's the best gear out there. You can depolish it all over the set. At the end of the game, just pick it up in the bag and reuse it. You can infill between roads, buildings. You've only got 3 fence sections, but you need to do a really long fence. Oh, clump. Do a load of clump in a line, a bit of fence, load of clump.
To fill the gaps. Yeah.
Clever shit. I mean, I've been using this for years. You'll also see coconut matting. Now, look, you go into any Poundland or anything, get a doormat, chop it up.
Yeah.
Please,
absolutely.
in the name of Buddha, Jesus, or anything, do not cut square fields. If you look, fields are never square, right? Look at them. I mean, I'll cut this up and use this as brush. You know, try and always think about symmetry as well when you're building your set. Undulation. Now, this is a 10.5 by 5 foot sand table. I'm not saying that there was any looting of sand carried out on Ramsgate Beach, because that would be absolutely untrue. But there's a lot of sand in this table.
Out there. Yeah.
And we contour that. We also have worked out using sprays with water, you can undulate that terrain. Other means for sand underneath. Now here we've got the boats, and as Michael said, absolutely love the boats. Well, these are bolsters. Now the cleverness about this is you make the boat, right? So you just make the shape of the boat, stick it on, do all the fill around to make the waves and all of that. And then you cut out little sections to make like the funnel area, the cargo area. And if you make several things, you can make interchangeable decks. So I've got 3 big boats at 15 mil scale, and I've got different deck compartments. So I can always have different types of ships. Rather than build 20 buildings, what the hell are you going to do with a fleet of small ships in your bedroom or study? Other questions will be asked. And Jasmine, she probably won't be impressed if she's watching you. So what I try and say is keep it to an absolute minimum, right? So 3 boats or 2 boats and interchangeable decks. That's another trick I learned many moons ago. Again, getting a CMAT, really worth it. Deep Cut Studios, brilliant. Then a few special effects, job and not. Again, a sand-based thing. We needed some rocks, so we just got some off the road.
Yeah.
Move on, next one.
Move. Hey, easy. You're getting a bit bolshy now.
Easy.
I'm just worried that I'm gonna be cut again because of Jasmine. God knows what the bill is for that right now. But anyway, I'm sure, friends, I might start a Patreon support for Jasmine.
Are these again, Italian colonial troops?
Yeah. Again, in the whole of this campaign, it's mainly colonial forces that are fighting. Commanders are a battalion or regiment playing at the operational level, giving orders, and then they're fighting on the table. Again, this is an entire battalion structured across this 10 by 5 table, and the attack starts at night. Again, special effects added. Notice a few trees here, because we looked at the landscape. We always do all the research to try and build the set so it looks roughly something like British Somaliland. Very difficult. But again, a desert set, even if you're playing fantasy stuff, you do need to not loot the beaches and grab sand. But sand tables are easy to do. Get a cloth. You don't even need, if you can put an edge around your table, but if you can't. Here again, not exactly the best ship I ever built out of balsa wood, but you can see the interchangeable decks, and they're slightly...
Yeah, man, what are you on about?
So yeah, it's all right. You can see the interchangeable decks, and again, all the little detail adds to the troops are running up to embark and all of that, and they're coming under fire, and we've got all sorts of aircraft, artillery, everything going on, which has all been pre-ordered. But I do enjoy my battles. There's so much I really want to do. It's time, money, and most importantly, this is the big problem about scratch building: storage. Where on earth do you put it?
Yeah.
Now, you build these beautiful things.
I was going to say, I presume in all this you do destructible terrain as well. So somebody hits a building with a bazooka.
That's a good point.
A bit of the building will disappear. Obviously, not you quite literally remove a bit, but
I have got some bits like that, but not enough. And I tend to use SFX, special effects, added after, because it's a hell of a lot easier than having all the interchangeable bits for buildings, and I'd lose them. I'm lucky that, you know, Craig built the clubhouse that we've got, and we've got a lot of storage, but I've got to build another set here at home as well for Ostfront as well. So, you know, but you can see how that thing's bowed at the back of that boat, you know, because it was out in the shed and it you know, it just got bent.
So the wood's got a bit of moisture in it.
You know, I painted the little gun turrets. I've scratch built, made those for anti-aircraft, and then added some special effects and job and good. I can't tell you what happens to this vessel, which is full of soldiers and troops, but it gets rather interesting.
Does this happen to it? The Italian Air Force.
So we've got a spotter that came in. She came under anti-aircraft fire. The commander was, oh my God, that's a precursor to air attack. And he's trying to get the infantry on board the ships. You've got one on the quay and one on the dock side. And it's all a race against time. And I'm using a clock watch for him to make timing decisions. So he's racing through that to get his troops onto the ships as fast as possible. He's also got demolition tasks to do. He doesn't want the enemy to gain his equipment. If he can't basically get the lorries on the trucks, he's blowing them in situ or putting sugar in the engine, as he said. At which point I said, "Where's the sugar?" And he said, "We're Scottish. We always have sugar." I went, "Perfectly acceptable." And we just brought the sugar in. But basically, he had enough demolitions to blow the whole bloody place from here to Kingdom Come. So you've got this. It's a spotter that's come in. It's under fire, and basically you'll see what happens next. Maybe if we've got time.
Is this what happens next?
Yes, we start to get bombers coming in, and these are the Italian medium bomber. So there's all sorts of stress for the ground commander. We've got battle deck cards flying around. We've got all sorts of things. He had problems with some of the native guys. I always put the old carpet seller in there. He's an absolute nightmare. He'll block traffic in the street. Come on, guys, special price if any. You know, that type of thing. I'm not trying to be stereotypical here, but the card represents disruption. You've got the ship getting away under steam. You can see on decks the vehicles loaded, the cargoes. You know, the Scots are singing away, the Indians are singing away, and it all looked as though it was all over. But in the immortal words of, isn't it? It's not all over till it's all over. We then see possibly this.
No, that's the last picture.
Have you not got the one of the torpedo bomber?
You sent too many pictures.
The carpet salesman. Yeah.
This is the guy you were just talking about, though, right?
A whole platoon stuck. He's going nuts trying to, get this platoon out of there. And
you've literally made the carpet.
Sorry?
You've literally made carpet.
The point is, yeah. I mean, it's those are just rolled up tinfoil, aren't they? That building's completely scratch built, And again, I quite like
so much detail.
Has
on the
anybody given
side,
up
it's
and just
got,
bought
you
a
know,
carpet?
Sorry?
So has anybody given up and just decided the solution is to buy a carpet?
No, because he'd sell more, wouldn't he? The thing is, what
Come
happens
back.
that's a classic pin. That's a classic pin platoon. It's got a role motivation to get its crap together. The officers and NCOs screaming at the lads to get out there. You know, there's all sorts of things within the system that we've got, but the smallest detail is very important for the friction within a war game. It's the smallest thing that can go wrong that can really upset best laid plans. It's a shame I didn't get that picture to you of the torpedo bomber, but I couldn't have told you whether she hit the ship or not anyway, so that's confidential.
Mate, you sent about 3
you will
times
see
as
it
many.
when the episode.
You sent
So,
about 3 times as many
scratch build.
pictures as this. I just picked some out.
Yeah, I mean, scratch
interesting.
building is, in my opinion, very much like if we go back to old school wargaming and Dungeons and Dragons and everything. People didn't have the kit, so they were resourceful. Nowadays, under the commercial, you're basically shoved shit down your throat until you buy it. It's easier, it's simple. But actually, if you've got a bit of plastic art, or as Russian Quill said, this hardboard cardboard, and you've got grit, that's outside. You can get a few sticks. You can make your own terrain quite easily, and you can really enjoy it. I mean, what on earth is that, Johnny B? Did you make that out of cardboard cartons?
It may be a scratch-built Warhound Titan, yes.
Scratch built. That's very impressive. Yeah.
That's not a commercial.
I mean,
Sorry,
there's
I actually had some scratch built.
there's people out there who do something called trash bashing, where they go and they build things out of recycling and
Out of trash.
Yeah.
yeah. Is that a shower bottle? Is that a shampoo bottle tank?
Right, before
Similar,
we go,
same but different. Anyways, yes.
because we are getting that way. Answering questions, couple from Rich John. Russian Quill, what was the name of that stuff that you mentioned?
It's called medium.
He's got it.
Get the label up. There you go. It goes by chipboard or medium graphics chipboard.
Okay.
That's a really good tip. Is it easy to cut?
Yeah. How do you cut it?
I just use a Stanley knife.
All right. Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Stanley.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I built some Adobe buildings out of it.
So,
Okay.
also was asked earlier was could you put on our Facebook page about where he can see more pictures of that sand battle set that you've made?
Yeah. I mean, it's all military wargaming. We have House of Hengist is. I started in comics. I got hold of wargaming figures. I then did balloon adages to them. I do narrative. When I create a wargame, it is a 3D immersive with narrative. It's designed so that people go into that space and basically stay in that space. And then we look at, analysing the decisions that have taken place. So it's all on the House of Hengist site or Military Wargaming.
And they're both Facebook pages.
I'll put a link down below at the end.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry about Jasmine interfering and playing around with my.
Now, also before you go, so next week's show, what we're looking at doing is, and we've not done this. A lot of live streamers do it, right? We don't have a guest lined up, but what I want to do is to try and see if we can involve you, the viewers, as well as us in sort of ranking our favorite war movies, which gives us a little bit of space to argue about what makes a good movie and what makes a bad movie and so forth. So that's kind of the plan for next week. So if you have a recommendation for favorite war movie, then put it in the comments to this video and we'll start with those. What we're going to do is between the commenters and the guests on the show, we will compile a list and then we'll have some kind of sorting activity where we'll rank them and we'll talk about them. So John will be advocating for Fury, whereas I want it at the bottom of the list, for example. Then we have that kind of argument.
Well, Cross of Iron, unquestionably.
Cross of Iron, exactly. Hengist sent me a whole other batch of photos.
We haven't got
which we haven't got time for. But what we are going to do,
that's not Jasmine, that's Nicole, Michael.
Is I have another thing. So this is Hengist's next project. So this is VT, so we all need to be quiet. This is his trailer.
That is cool. Well done.
Well
That
done,
was-
mate.
That was
Enjoyed
genius.
that. Enjoyed that. Some Commandante, is this on Warhammer Plus?
Yeah.
And
Not
so that's Jasmine's Jasmine. That's Hengist's next project. You've already made. Oh, we've lost him
Oh.
again. He's already made a start on it. So I'm thinking he wanted really to talk about that tonight, but Callum and I had already talked. Let's do a bit of a thing about scratch building, and I wanted to cover that because it's not something that I've done a lot of either. So I wanted to do an episode on that, but I still think, and from the reaction from the trailer, I assume you guys would like to see Hengist back in a few weeks' time, and we'll talk about his Eastern Front thing. What I really liked about that is if that's supposed to be Barbarossa, just quite how many Allied troops there were in there and how many Panzer IIs there were in there, because that's the reality of Barbarossa. It ain't all the good stuff. There's a lot of
it's not. And we're going to tell the story from the Axis perspective. And we're going to look at, obviously, I'm going to be doing some interactive scenarios as well. So there'll be a telephone with decisions and things like that, so that you get to see the relationship between the table commander. And then at the end, you'll and I got a lot of these ideas from Little Wars doing interactive stuff. And I think, as you're saying, Kaiser, having people, if you're out there, guys, my advice is get involved with whatever channels people are working at. Your voice is important to everyone in the community, and it's really important that if someone's trying to set something up to give you your voice, that you speak, because otherwise idiots like me go on a blind course. I want people to say, actually, Mark, you need to look at that. Oh, crikey, I gave away my identity. Or something like that. You need support, and there's some massively intelligent people out there who have knowledge far outside of my box. But when they help everyone, as I said, I'll posit. I'm coming on next week to argue Cross of Iron. I think it's one of the greatest anti-war films ever made. Shoot me down.
Yeah, well, we're leaving. One of the guys in the group chat and said, to say what counts as a war film. And said, well, I think that's part of the conversation. I think if each person takes their own take on that, and that forms part of the discussion, is Schindler's List a war movie? I think it is, but other people would disagree.
Downfall. I'd classify that as a war film.
I mean,
I like Downfall a lot when I watched it. I like it less now I've seen it memed endlessly.
Yeah, also how far back you go is also the consideration. Is Sharp or the Eagle or
Von Ryan's Express, mate. That Ice Cold in Alex. I'm gonna have all the good ones, mate. All the good ones. And we all know before we start, Bridge Too Far is going to win. So I don't know what the point of the conversation will be. Anyway, Hengist, you remind these beautiful people where they can find you. So you got Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, we're on House of Hengist Comics on YouTube, Military Wargaming on Facebook, or my own sort of House of Hengist site. Apologies again for me keep cutting out. I've just looked down at the bill, 748 quid I've been charged. But anyway, other than that, I just want to say, you've always, it's been delightful to be on the show once again. And sorry about me cutting out all the time. sometimes these are technical errors. I thought I'd been kicked out again.
It was a good thing that it happened because it allowed some of us to talk. So
Yeah, absolutely.
But you crashed out just as Kaiser called you Jasmine. I thought you got upset and left.
Oh, just rage quit. Yeah, I mean, I think tonight Callum actually had to put his hand up to talk. I think that's a first for the show. Like, come on, I want in.
And then the problem I had is I couldn't hear or see the pictures. So
Right.
you're going
that's
off
the
memory.
problem. It's like, am I live? Am I not? Then I'd bounce in and out. So I really apologise, Callum. I didn't know what the hell was going on. 124 quid.
Aliens is a war movie. Alien
Yes.
is a drama. That's my answer to that question. Inglourious Bastards definitely counts. I didn't say historical movies. I said war movies.
Somebody's put Henry V. Technically, that's a play.
There's definitely movies of it. Right.
The Kings
that's it from us this week. We are still releasing I've now finished the Flames of War editing of the mini-series, The Learn to Play. It worked out. It was in 4 parts in the end. So this Friday and the Friday after, you'll see the serialization of that. In behind the scenes, anybody who's a member gets to sort of preview some videos before they're ready for release. We have been working on a Learn to Play Antares, Beyond the Gates of Antares, the bolt action in space, basically. But it's taking forever because I've done it with Gymotech, and our calendars don't blend very well together at all. We've now recorded the 4th of 5 missions, so it's probably still a month or 2 away before that one will get released. But John and I are going to play a casual game of 40k. I have been working on the kill team because I know we haven't had a lot of that side of things sorted. But tomorrow we're actually going up to, well, I say it's myself and James Workshop, because Johnny B is having his brain scanned.
True fact.
We're going up to Warlord, and hopefully they've lined up some interviews with us. I'm hoping we can talk to Paul Sawyer, but apparently he's not big on being interviewed on camera. But, John Stallard and some of the casters are going to show us. So I'm hoping to be able, we're going to record some stuff, and hopefully we can make like a vlog of that experience, like a cook's tour of Warlord. But they don't want us to share their secret sauce for their resin molds and stuff like that. So I don't know what format we'll end up with out of the footage we take. They reserve the right to look at it, and I understand that, because they're literally going to show us what they do. But then they might say, no, we don't want the people seeing this. I get that. So £748 is the price of a box of Primaris Marines.
I think I need Patreon now on the channel. I'm not going to be able to carry on without that.
Indeed. It was brilliant having you on. When I mentioned about next week's film thing, I mean in the comments, not in the comments for the live show, in the comments of the video, as it were, because then we can check them easily next week. Any final remarks from anyone tonight? John?
No.
Brush?
I'm laughing at Rosie Raccoon's comment of Black Half Down.
Black Half Down.
It's a very different movie.
Interesting. Must have words. No, I'm quite looking forward to that.
Yeah. Right, okay, that's all from us. Thank you for being here, Hengist. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next week on the live show. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.